Hi scholars, today's goal is to be able to take a group of objects and arrange them into rows and columns. When we put them in rows and columns, that means we are creating an array, okay, or a rectangle of objects. So rows go side to side, columns go up and down, okay? So what this would look like if we were actually using objects, is to take the objects and put them into rows like such. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just kind of roll. 5. So what we're looking at is a row of these pins, and I'm arranging them in rows of 5. Okay, so let me make that a little straighter. Okay, so then underneath that, if I arrange another row of 5, I'm making sure each object is lined up right underneath the one above it in lines. The reason that we do this and organize it like this is so we can count it a lot faster. So for example, now that I've created this array, I can quickly see a group of 5 and a group of 5. So I know a number sentence for this could be 5 plus 5. Or in other words, 5 times 2. Because I can see that I have 5 tacks or pins 2 times, right? So this is just a way to show that the reason that we create arrays is so we can quickly count up a group of items. If I created another row of 5, I also really don't have to count by ones now. I can just go 5, 10, 15. Okay, then I have columns. Columns are the up and down lines inside of my rectangle that I've created out of these objects. Okay, so I have a 1 column, 2 columns, 3, 4, 5. 5 columns, 5 up and down lines of objects, but inside of each column there's 3 pins. So I would say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 columns of 3. Okay, so when you're working on rearranging your objects today, just think of this video, think of how I lined them up, but instead of actually taking real objects, you're going to be drawing them, okay? So this is what it will look like on your paper. Let me zoom out just a little bit. I'm going to show you number 3. Sorry, the lighting's funny today. We are going to circle groups of 3. Okay, so if it says groups of 3, I need to look inside the group. Okay, whenever I see the word of, I think, oh, so that means each of the groups must have 3 inside of it. So I'm going to create one group of 3. 1, 2, 3. Another group of 3, and this is what we've practiced already this week, so you should be pretty good at this. 3 groups of 3, 4 groups of 3. Okay, so now I'm supposed to redraw the groups of 3 as rows and then as columns. So if I'm redrawing them as rows, I know that means side to side. Okay, let's see. So like we sit in rows when we sit at morning meeting usually, right? So this is one group and I put it into a row. I have to make sure to line my hearts up with the ones above it. That's another group of 3 and I put it into a row of 3. Here's another row of 3. That's 3 rows of 3 and 4 rows of 3. Okay? Now if I'm coming over here to put them in columns, these lines can help guide me. Okay, but it wants me to redraw all the groups of 3 in columns. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 up and down lines because those are called columns. It's like when you see a building and it's held up by a column because the column is that round part that goes up and down and holds the roof up on top of a building. Okay, you might have a column inside of your house that's also supporting the roof of your house. That's an example of a real life column. Okay, so we're going to use this one, this group of 3 to make my first column, 2 columns of 3, 3 columns of 3, 4 columns of 3. Now I've used all my hearts, and I'm also going to challenge you to please write an equation to add up the entire array, okay, of objects. So I'm looking at this, it's kind of like I've just created a rectangle out of my objects. I've organized them so I can just go 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, because there's 3 in each column. So I can think of that as 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, and I will be posting a video. Oops, you can't really see that. I will be posting a video to also help you skip count by 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, and so on. That can help you do your multiplication a little bit faster too, because if we're adding the number 3 4 times, 1, 2, that means 3 times 4 is 12. That means there are 12 hearts inside of that array, okay? But if I see this and I want to solve it quickly, I can think, oh, I can count 3 4 times. 3, 6, 9, 12. I will share those videos with you so we can learn to count those a little faster. And that'll help with our multiplication. Okay, count the objects in the arrays from left to right by rows and by columns. As you count, circle the rows and then the columns. So I'll do one example of this. From left to right by rows. Okay, so these are all the rows. I'm circling the side to side lines, or I could go like this, 1, 2, 3 rows. Okay, so that means there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows in this one, and I can go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And that's how I can quickly count it by rows, or I can just circle the columns. And I can go 5, 10. Okay, so then I'm also going to write the number sentences that show, or the equations that show, the total of my whole array. It says redraw the circles and stars in problem 4 as columns of 2. Okay, redraw these circles as columns of 2. Right now this is a column and it is of 5. Okay, so let's see. If I do columns of 2 instead, I still know that I need it to make 10 circles. So I'm going to go 1, 2, that's a column of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, I redrew the circles up here into columns of 2. Draw an array with 15 triangles. Okay, so you can draw any array you want with 15 triangles. It just means that your whole rectangle of objects has to have 15 triangles inside of it. Okay, well, I know I can think of the number 15 as 5, 5, and 5 more. So I am going to draw 5. You can also just count them out. So you can go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so that's one example of an array with 15 triangles in it. If I'm making my array and counting out the triangles, and then I realize, let's say I do it like this, right? Okay, I'm just going to choose to put 6, and then I'm going to put 6 in the next column. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Uh-oh, that's not an array. This is not the right way to do it, because that doesn't make a rectangle shape with all the objects having a line that they belong in. This line is too short. It needs to be, this column needs to be the same size as the rest of them. So I have to move it around a little bit until I create an actual rectangle. So let me move this one up here. Oh, that's still not equal or the same, but I see if I move this one over here, then I could make the array work, and it would still have 15 triangles. 5, 10, 15. So this is another way to show an array. So if you've already shown it one way, see if you can try to show the objects in a different style array. Okay? All right. Oh, that's what it says right down here. Show a different array with 15 triangles. Both of these are correct because they're rectangular and they have 15 triangles, and they have rows and columns that all have the same amount of triangles in each line. Okay? So you did, you're going to try this on your own, and I bet you're going to do great. Good luck.